On the night of April 18, 1775, a figure clad in dark clothing and riding swiftly across the Massachusetts countryside embarked on one of the most iconic journeys in American history. That man was Paul Revere, a silversmith, patriot, and revolutionary, whose midnight ride would serve as a turning point in the American Revolution. The tensions leading up to the ride. By 1775, tensions between the American colonies and the British Crown had reached a boiling point. The British had imposed heavy taxes on the colonies and had stationed soldiers in cities like Boston to enforce their rule. The colonists, however, had grown increasingly resentful of British control and were determined to assert their independence. The Massachusetts colony was particularly active in organizing resistance to British authority. Groups like the Sons of Liberty, including Paul Revere, were central in coordinating efforts to oppose British rule. The British, aware of these rebellious movements, began to tighten their grip on the colonies. The situation became increasingly volatile, and it was clear that a showdown was imminent. The plan? Warn the Patriots. The specific events that led to Revere's midnight ride began with the British Army's plan to march from Boston to Concord in April 1775. Their goal was to seize military supplies, including weapons and ammunition, that were believed to be stored in Concord by the colonial militia. The British hoped to disarm the rebels and quell any further resistance. The American patriots, however, had intelligence that the British were planning this raid. Leaders in the colonial militia, including Samuel Adams and John Hancock, feared that the British would attempt to arrest them or destroy vital supplies. A plan was devised to warn the local militias of the approaching British troops, giving them a chance to prepare and resist. Revere's midnight ride. Revere was given the task of riding from Boston to Lexington and Concord to warn the Patriots about the British march. On the evening of April 18, he set off on his fateful ride, carrying with him the crucial message. The signal for the ride was arranged by lanterns in the steeple of the Old North Church in Boston. If the British were coming by land, one lantern would be displayed. If they were coming by sea, 2 lanterns would be raised. Revere would then know to ride out and alert the people of the coming British forces. As it happened, 2 lanterns were shown, signaling the British were coming by sea, via the Charles River. Revere mounted his horse, leaving Boston in the dead of night, riding swiftly to warn the nearby towns of Lexington and Concord. Along the way, Revere was joined by fellow patriot William Dawes, who had been dispatched on a similar mission, though his ride was less well known. Revere's route was not a simple one. He passed through the towns of Charlestown, Medford, and Arlington, warning the colonists and urging them to prepare for the arrival of British troops. His efforts, combined with those of other riders such as Samuel Prescott, would help spread the warning far and wide, reaching the leaders of the colonial militias. The British advance and the battles of Lexington and Concord. By the time Revere and his fellow riders had completed their journey, the British forces had already begun their march. The first shots of the American Revolution were fired early on the morning of April 19, 1775, in Lexington. A small group of colonial militia, led by Captain John Parker, faced off against the British soldiers, marking the start of the Revolutionary War. Revere did not make it to Concord as he was captured by a British patrol during his ride. However, his warning had been delivered, and the militias were able to muster a resistance. The Battle of Concord followed soon after, and the British were forced to retreat back to Boston, suffering heavy casualties. The American militias had made their stand, and the fight for independence had officially begun. The legacy of Paul Revere's midnight ride. Though Paul Revere's midnight ride did not result in him being a central figure in the subsequent battles of the Revolution, his actions that night made him a symbol of courage and patriotism. His ride became a rallying cry for American independence, and his story has been immortalized in American history and folklore. The poem Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, published in 1861, further cemented Revere's place in the collective memory of the nation. Paul Revere's ride is remembered as a moment of quick thinking and bravery, demonstrating the power of individual action in the face of tyranny. His efforts helped ignite the American Revolution, leading to the eventual independence of the United States. Today, Paul Revere is celebrated as one of the nation's foremost patriots, whose midnight ride serves as a testament to the ideals of freedom, courage, and the spirit of resistance.